coach at Penn State, Stan Drayton. First of all,
you hear that all right?
Stan, welcome to Penn State.
Oh, thank you for having me. I love it here.
What was it about James Franklin and Penn State where you said, you know what, that's a place and a person I need to be with?
Well, I've been knowing James for a long time, and he's always handled himself with such high integrity. As an individual, you hold yourself to such a standard, you know it's only going to permeate into a program that you're in charge of. And so I've watched him over his career, and he's held that standard everywhere he's been. And now he has an opportunity here at Penn State. He's been here for a while. And what else to say about Penn State? I went to school in this state. All you hear is Penn State. I worked in this state. All you hear is Penn State. And so this is a premier opportunity with a premier coaching staff for me to continue my career. And so it was a no-brainer for me. It really was. It's a high-tier program that's holding integrity, and it's all about raising the whole man here, and I really appreciate that.
When you look at veteran running backs, of which you have two of them that have accomplished so much and have done things on the biggest stage, and Nicholas Singleton and Kaytron Allen, and younger running backs.
Sure.
What does it take for you to get to know personnel, and do you treat a veteran different than you do a younger player?
Well, you know, it's based on where they are in their development. Quite honest, it's custom fit for every individual. First things first for me is I have to earn their trust and they have to earn mine, you know, and that's with every one of those backs in that room from top to bottom. In order for me to get them where they're trying to go and help them to reach the potential that they're capable of, there has to be a certain level of trust and respect there, and that's earned. Now, you know, if there's a guy that is more mature in his approach and he's doing the things that are already at a high standard, then you can take the level of development to another level for them if they're ready. You know, but it has to be custom fit. I need to really get into that room, get to know my guys inside and out, find out where their strengths and weaknesses are, where they are in their development, both on and off the football field, and then customize my approach accordingly to each individual.
How important is it for the older players to be leaders for your younger players?
It's critically important. You know, they're leaving back a legacy. Those guys have to follow what they leave behind. And if there's a crack in their foundation, they may create a mindset of a younger player that's acceptable, and that can't be, especially at a place like Penn State. So there's been legacy of great backs that I think we are following that legacy as we continue on today. And it's important that our younger guys understand that it is bigger than them, and they're leaving back something that has to be picked up and inherited by their teammates.
You understand that at every level you've coached at, everybody sees the running back with the ball.
Yeah.
How important is it for you to teach them how important life is when you don't have the ball, and you can still win games when you don't have the ball?
That's the beauty of the running back position, you know, especially in today's football, right? You know, everyone wants to devalue that position, especially in the league right now, devalue that position. And then all of a sudden there's a Saquon Barkley who blows the scene up, and all of a sudden that position is important again. Well, why? Well, it's not just because he can run the football. Certainly that's a large part of it, but he became a dual threat, a guy that's a threat that can catch the football and still be explosive and be productive on offense that way. So, no, I think just today's game, there's two jobs of a running back that won't change, and that's protecting the football and protecting the quarterback. And if you are lacking in any one of those areas, regardless of your skill set, you really can't be out there expecting to achieve big things.
When you look at, you know, we talk about today's running backs and what they can do along the way. The emphasis you mentioned on protecting the football.
Yeah.
That is a non-negotiable thing with James Franklin. That had to align with you right away.
Right away. Absolutely. I mean, there's no way, you know, you can win a football game by giving the ball to the opponent. That's not how the ball is designed. I go all the way back to, you know, a famous quote from, I think it was Lombardi, who said, you know, I'd rather die a young man than to fumble this football, you know, and that's a little harsh to say in today's world. But if you're trying to obtain big things, like we're going for a national championship this year, we cannot be, you know, giving our opponent an advantage because we can't protect the football. That just does not work.
It's obviously important for a running back to know the offense. How important is it for the running back to know the defense and how they play and how they can play off of it?
You're speaking my language there. The more you know defense, you understand fits, you understand what the defense is doing, it slows the game down for you, and it allows you to play faster and allow your instincts to take over, right? If you're constantly sitting there contemplating and processing what the defense is doing within a play, then you're definitely not playing to the full capability of what you're designed to do. So it's all about being able to anticipate what's happening. All great running backs have the ability to anticipate. You can't anticipate until you have a good, firm understanding of what the big picture is.
You love being a teacher, don't you?
I love it.
Where does that come from, that ability to want to teach, to give back and watch growth?
I think I learned it very early in my career as a football player. Two guys by the name of Ken O'Keefe and Joe Philbin.
Yep.
I told them I was going to be a lawyer. They looked at me and laughed and said, "Hey, you're a football coach. You just don't know it." I said, "Well, please call my mom and my dad, because if they hear me getting ready to coach after them paying for some schooling, I don't think that's going to go too well." But no, it was all about Ken O'Keefe and Joe Philbin giving me that little dry board and a marker and said, "Here's how you draw a circle, and here's how you teach in progression." And me learning that way made it real clear to me that is progression type teaching that is going to get an individual to learn at a high level. And the thing about that is not everyone's going to learn the same, right? You have to be able to midstream adjust and find the proper way for a student athlete to learn the proper way. And you may have different type of learners in your room, and you have to be able to customize your teaching and spend the proper time that it takes for certain individuals to learn what you're teaching. There's no cookie cutter way to do it, right? And you just have to figure it out as a teacher. And I think that's what makes great teachers, is those who have found ways to midstream adjust their message to make sure that the individual is getting what they're being taught.
Well, Stan, it's great to have you, your family, be a part of the Penn State football family. Thanks so much for your time today.
Oh, I appreciate it. We are Penn State, baby.
Yeah. That white hoodie's fresh. They always have the best gear on the team, dude. Like the coaches, and that white hoodie with they're all custom with the Nike.
Yeah.
Insane.
So yeah, that was interesting.
It's
Well spoken, like you said. Yeah, just both of our, I want to say this, both of our hires have talked about winning a national title. That's because that's the most important part, and I think that's why you've guys returning. You have these coaches coming here because they want to win a national title. They want to get a ring.
Yep.
And again, man, if it doesn't happen this year, like, I don't know.
It's going to be a while, because we'll be in rebuild mode next year for certain positions.
Pretty much. I mean, this 22 class is extremely important.
Yeah, not rebuild, but like there'll have to be young guys that step up that you don't know about yet, and that's it's the unknown that is tricky to guess. You can't guess the unknown this year. There's some unknown, like with the receivers coming in and stuff like that, but there are other players that are on our team coming back. You know what they're going to bring. They're going to bring it every week to practice. They're going to bring it every week to Saturday. We know what the running backs, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, and Zane Durant, and Denai Dennis Sutton, Tony Rojas, AJ Harris. We know what these guys are going to do. So it's just the collective team as a whole. I think they're hungry, man, and it's showing it because the coaches are talking about a natty. So let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that these guys are coming back, a lot of these guys are coming back, like Drew Aller, Katron, let me think, Denai, all these 22 class guys, they could have left.
Yeah.
And some guys could have transferred. But like Abdul, would have been great to have him back, but could be the first pick in the draft.
You can't blame him.
Which he is projected to be. And then, you've got just the fact that this 22 class, man, has done what they've done. And obviously coming into it, man, Abdul was probably the best guy in that class, as good as the class was.
Yep.
Technically, he wasn't, because I think Drew Aller was the best player in the class of all the guys that came in that class. But
recruiting-wise,
yeah, like, it's not surprising that he turned into a potential first overall pick, which I think he should be.
Yeah,
and he is projected to be the number one pick by pretty much everybody. And then Travis Hunter, as well, got some hate, obviously, for saying that he shouldn't be the first pick, that he's kind of overrated, which I think he is. He could go to Cleveland, and then I could see the Steelers dicing him up, depending on who the quarterback is. That's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, man, it's we got good guys coming back, and he talked about a national title. He knows what he has. He spoke about, leaving a legacy. That's very important, because Penn State has had a ton of good college running backs. Not so much in the NFL, but Like Kajana Carter got hurt. He could have been really good in the NFL.
Yeah.
Blair Thomas, great running back. Curtis Enos, Larry Johnson, Saquon, Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders was, he backed up Saquon, man, his whole career. But he was right up there with him, and he still had a good career in the NFL. Still is, kind of. He's on a bad team, but the list goes on and on, man. Evan Royster,
big Royster fan,
Stephon Green, Silas Redd. The list goes on and on of who